Hello world, welcome to the 69th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Protest. Of course, I'm doing this from home. It is April 3rd, 2020. Coronavirus is starting to run its horrible route throughout the United States, and I'm here in Pennsylvania, which is near, probably about 300 miles away from New York City. So things are a little out of control in New York City, and it's not looking good there. I think they're pushing 100,000 people infected. Here in Pennsylvania, we have over 7,000. By the end of today, it'll be 8,000 people infected. My county where I live only has 18 so far, but it's gone up pretty fast from zero. So a week and a half ago, we had 187, or 2 weeks ago, we had 187 people in the state that had coronavirus. Now we're up to 7,000, pushing 8,000. So it's not a good situation. Right now I'm experiencing, as several of our friends are, anger, depression, the whole deal, grief, everything, because we're starting to realize this is the real thing and it's not going away anytime soon. So my anger is right now directed at the federal government, mainly at the White House and everything, and that they're incompetent. They're either totally incompetent and or sinister and sick in their attitude as far as putting economics over people. And they're not thinking things forward thinking. They got rid of the pandemic panel 2 years ago under Bolton, who wanted them to get rid of the panel for some dumbass reason. And so these people had it all laid out in a playbook as to do stage by stage as to when a pandemic happened, as to what to do specifically along each specific increase in sickness and everything going on throughout the country and the world. So they blew that. They lost 6 weeks, 8 weeks of goofing around time, denying, so that Trump could keep the stock market artificially high. And like a child trying to protect his grades after he gets an F on a test, eventually it comes out. The child gets found out that you got an F on your test, whether it's right away or when the report card comes out. And a report card came out 2 months later for Trump, and that his denialism couldn't be hidden anymore, and it was just running rampant everywhere. So the guy needs to be fired. I don't care how you do it, just get him out of there. Pence, to the whole group, they need some forward thinking, and this can't be the best the Republican Party has to offer. There must be someone in there that has a brain in his head, and if not, then get rid of the whole party, because they are trying to kill you and me and everyone else. So this isn't a political statement. This is a factual thing. Democrats are to blame too. Like our governor drug his feet and didn't declare a statewide emergency as far as shutting down everyone right away. And it was becoming readily apparent that coronavirus was spreading out throughout the whole state. So it's not limited to one party, but on the Republican side, they're all about economics, and you got to get out of that mindset and get back into people. This is not the Republican Party that I knew when I was a kid. Okay, they've lost their way. They totally left the station. They went off on the Never Land and just care about money, money, money. And you cannot eat money on a dead planet. You cannot eat money when pandemics are happening. Okay, so you need to start protecting the people and get your shit together. We need a coordinated effort led by the federal government. You can't have 50 states doing 50 different plans. There's some governors that are still in denial, that are just now shutting down their states. You can't have a situation where everyone's running around like a bunch of mice in 50 different directions to come up with an idea as to what to do. You need leaders. That's why people are running for president, theoretically, is it so that they can lead the country, have a good panel on hand, not just a bunch of yes people going, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, you need someone that actually says, no, this is not a good idea, or a group of people getting together saying, this is a great idea, we need to go forward with this. And with people in mind, not with economy, okay? Economy can benefit people when the economy is working for people. If it's working against people, you're going to have losers in this whole thing, and eventually you're going to end up with a revolution. So if you want to save democracy in America, you need someone that's actually smart and forward thinking. I'm really angry about this thing, as you can tell. There's no future plan of action. The dude has no idea how to go forward with this. He says the federal government is a backstop for the state government. No, this is not the fucking Confederate States of America. That's what the war was all about, where it was states' rights over federal rights. The federal government is supposed to lead the states as to where to go and what to do. So get your program together and stop goofing around. Okay, so what's happening, this is also associated with climate change too. Climate change has not gone away. it's taken a back burner because the immediate thing, as humans interpret things, is the immediate threat right in front of their face. They don't see things long range. So everything that's happening now will happen with climate change in the future. And in the future, I mean like 3 years from now, it'll start in earnest. And by 6 years, we're going to be struggling to survive. This is my estimation as to what's going on, based on the CO2 level and the increase of what's happening. So right now, around the world, you have approximately, I think it's 65 million refugees, either in country or their own country, or have left their own countries. So they're carrying viruses with them as well, and you need to take care of that issue and give people a safe harbor, a safe place to live, and evaluate them as they come across the borders. I'm not saying don't have people come across the borders. Every country needs fresh people to come in and to invigorate their societies. So, you need to provide that. Rather than spend billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars on weapons, how about drop schools on people? How about drop food on people? How about drop medicine on people? Okay, why are we willing to spend $2 million to blow some guy who has brown skin off his bicycle half a world away when we can't spend 50 cents to give them a proper diet? Okay, now this is part of the reevaluation of the thinking of our individual America first or Europe first or whatever policy, and rather than have a world first policy. Maybe it's about time we reevaluate what's going on here. And capitalism in its pure sense does not work. You need incentive, people to be incentivized, but you can't keep having this thing, me first, me first, me first, because that doesn't work. You become an individual and then you're not working together as a group. Everything has been tribal in the past, and now you got an individual situation, whether it's countries or individuals or states or whatever, and it's not working. You need to reevaluate what's going on. Right now, the borders of United States are sealed off from Mexicans and also Guatemalans, and you have a huge farmers issue going on down south, whereas the crops need picked, whether they're blueberries or strawberries or kale or whatever, and you don't have the workers for it. And you brought this on yourself by sealing off the borders, by thinking, oh, no foreigners allowed. Well, they're the ones that do the hard work. Americans don't like to do the hard work. And that is way around the country, too, or around the world, too, because people that are poor see that kind of work as an available opportunity that they can step right into and start working immediately. We need to pay everyone a fair and living wage as well, where they're not scrambling, that when situations like this happen, that you don't have a backstop, where people, instead of getting one check, as in the United States it's going to happen, and then they're worried about surviving one more month after that, that you have actual pay, and you actually keep people in a situation that they're not thinking about, oh, how am I going to get my next meal even, or how am I going to pay for these bills, things like that. Because what happens is eventually you're going to end up with civil unrest, as happening in southern Italy right now. And you have a situation developing where the Italians don't have money or food or anything, and of course they're going to resort to violence. I think in the United States it would be a very good idea to let people know that they are covered and everything's going to be okay, because this culture here is loaded with guns, and I'm not kidding. It's a crazy amount of guns and weapons that everyone has on hand, and it's not going to end up pretty if you start cutting people off from their funds, or their kids start dying because they're starving to death, or things like that. People tend to get a little angry at their government and also local neighbors and everything else when they're out of money, and they try to steal, and that's what's happening in Italy right now. So we need a real overhaul of our whole system as to how things are going and where our thought process are. Now, I do have one idea, which I think is a pretty good idea. People are off work, okay? Say there's 30 million people off work. They're sequestered at home, or it's 100 million people at home. You can send out parts that need assembled, such as for masks or for personal protective devices or whatever, for the healthcare workers, or things that need assembled. You can drop it off at each person's driveway with UPS, and then they can go out, pick it up, reassemble it, put it together, and then put it back out in the driveway to be picked up, to be distributed. This will take care of, people just sit around doing nothing, not getting paid, things like that. So you could employ almost half the country and actually get everyone back on their feet by doing this while they're sequestered at home. It doesn't require spreading illness or anything like that by working in a factory. You put things together, you get people and let them volunteer for what they want to volunteer for. Some people are really good with metalwork. Some people are good with woodwork. Some people can just put stuff together with their hands or their feet or whatever they need to do. And you need to have a different thought process. You need a citizens assembly type thing getting together and people coming up with ideas as to what to do. So my citizens assembly idea, and I was talking with my wife about it, was it'd be a really good idea if we assembled parts as to substitute for items that are needed to resupply, our healthcare workers or whoever else needs help. That's just a thought on that. Trump keeps saying we're going to come out stronger than ever because this is money lost, okay? You're never going to get it back again. And what we need to do is reevaluate as far as climate change goes. So this will help our economy as well, which is to think about changing our whole system as far as our electrical grid or our how electricity is developed, such as solar panels, wind, some other means. This is where you get groups together that aren't yes men and actually come up with ideas as to what to do. So you need to start consulting with people. Use your weakness as a strength. Right now, everyone's at home. Well, you can have internet connections. People come up with ideas. People talk more on social media as to what's going on. You can have panels on the media, as to come up with ideas with the government. You can have assemblies get together. This isn't a one-on-one thing we have to do. You can have group chats, group ideas. Someone comes up with fantastic things. Someone texts someone in the government or wherever manufacturing as to what to do. So there's whole thought processes that need to be reevaluated as far as our whole system goes. And I think a blending of socialism, capitalism might be a good idea at this point, or pure socialism, I don't know. It's kind of funny that everyone was willing to take money from the federal government when you need it, especially the corporations, oh, I'm a capitalist, I'm this, I'm that. Well, as soon as you start handing money out to people, oh, they're willing to take it. No one said, oh, no, I don't want that. This is not capitalism. So all of a sudden, what's the price of a socialist is approximately $1,000 or less. So hopefully things will improve that way, and we'll be able to provide people with a backstop as far as money goes, and they don't have to worry about that, and they can go forward. So stock market tanked. We have multi-layers of stuff going wrong right now, and this is why we need people to get together to think of ideas and things to come up with. So on the climate change front, the CO2 level is pushing 416 parts per million, 200 parts per million, 280 parts per million is the upper limit we can have as far as humans surviving with no changes in the atmosphere. So we're in due for a real significant change, and this should be happening within 3 years. A lot of people are having it happening to them right now. Tornadoes or hurricanes or floods or whatever, drought, different things. But I think the whole country will be affected and the whole world will be affected probably by 2023. And I think by 2026, we're going to have a real trouble surviving as far as the society goes. Right now, what we're experiencing is called system collapse, societal collapse. If the electrical grid goes down for everyone, you're totally screwed. These phone type talks won't happen. Your internet won't happen. You could have a meltdown of a nuclear facility if there's no water being put into the cooling towers or the cooling where the nuclear reactor is happening. Your internet goes off, gasoline goes off because the pumps require electricity. The grocery stores would close because the frozen food wouldn't stay frozen anymore. So you got a whole issue going on, and we need people with forward thinking. They're thinking, what could go wrong? What can we do about this to ensure that it doesn't go wrong? Different attitudes, different thought processes, backup battery systems, backup generators, different things like that. So we need smart people to be in charge of the government, not these lunkheads that are all about brute force and about the making money and as much profit off of each other as possible. So hopefully we won't experience the total societal collapse, but my guess is this coronavirus will go on for several months, if not a full year. It'll, like Spanish influenza, I think it was 80% of the people finally got infected, and either they died or lived and were become immune to the virus. So hopefully we'll get through this, but if we're spreading it out, which is what we have to do to save the healthcare workers, we're still going to catch it. Most people will catch the coronavirus in one form or another, and the main thing is you stay healthy, and one of the ways to stay healthy is to keep away from stress. So if you feel that your government's not behind you or on your side, which I'm feeling right now and most people are feeling, that's an added stress, and you don't need that for your health condition. So hopefully things will change a little bit, but I'm not expecting it right now, and I expect things to get dramatically worse until it gets better, because every government is thinking individualistic rather than as a whole planet. And there is no peeing under the pool, and everything affects everything else. So we need to get it together and reevaluate our thought process and think as a community, not as individuals in houses. And you know, you can still keep your social distance, but there are things we can do as a society to get the ball rolling and you know, take proactive action. And number one is put the pressure on the federal government and tell them you're not going to take this stuff, and things need changed. Different thought process. You're not going to change, then we'll change you. So you know, it's a revolutionary type thinking, but one way or other, there's a revolution coming, and whether it's a thought process with the governments or it's a thought process with how people behave or whatever, either we'll do it or the earth will do it for us. So hopefully we'll get it together soon. Next week's talk will be on April 10th, and that'll be climate emergency protest number 70. See ya. Good luck. Hope you stay healthy.